What is wonderful, people? I want to take this little time out here to talk about shamanism, where I got my name from, this wonderful book. I want to read some from this book, and I want to tell a story about a Kangen water representative, what the monetary system does to mental hygiene, therapy, and the spiritual realm, and a few other ideas that I really think it's important that everybody understands what a business is and how a mind actually functions. And it reminds me of this one very important quote that you can't teach a man to know something when his income relies on him not knowing it. So I put a video up, as anybody's probably seen, about what water is and how this ionized water, well, it's not water, it's called Kangen water, and it's a registered trademark, and they sell this item for $2,500. And I posted a few things on it, and a couple Kangen reps decided to say something to me on my Instagram, saying that they believed in the water and that they sell this water, and it was very interesting that they believed in the water. They believed it. If it takes belief in a product, a belief in a registered trademark that's connected to $2,500 in a multi-level marketing campaign, and it's just as easy to believe in someone that existed 2,000 years ago and died for your sins. It's a belief. Then you can buy into any kind of scientism about it, because there's plenty of work done on what it is, because it's not actually water. And so I got in this just a tiny little debate, and I said, you can do what you want, but it's interesting that it has a registered trademark after it, and somehow we don't trust nature and what nature is to provide us with water, that somehow we need to have a system that requires the cost of a small, like a used car, a nice used car, to deliver us something that isn't even really water. It's called OH, not H2O. It's missing some hydrogen. So nonetheless, I found that very interesting, and this weaves into the idea of what therapy is, and what shamanism is, and what friends are, and what kin are. And before I get into that, I'll just read a couple selections out of this book so you all can have a better understanding of what a shaman is. Because the word shaman means she-man. It's a male-female. It's somebody that has both aspects, meaning left and right and up and down, meaning a spiritual realm, meaning a spiritual knowledge, as well as a base earth knowledge, a Jesus Christ knowledge, an upper echelon etheric wisdom, and a physical body that they manifest life in, meaning Julius Caesar, and how there's a disconnect between people that charge money, that there's a dominance happening, there's a black magic that's happening in a dominator way, a dominator submissive principle, and it disassociates from the heart, which is not what a shaman does. So let me read a couple key things here in one of my favorite books. It says, John says, I guess I'll have to think about it. Well, I predict that if you think about it long enough, you'll find yourself going round and round and round and round, until you finally reach only one possible rational, intelligent conclusion. The law of gravity, and gravity itself, did not exist before Isaac Newton. No other conclusion can make sense. And what that means, I say before he can interrupt, and what that means is that the law of gravity exists nowhere except in people's minds. It's a ghost. We are all All of us, very arrogant and conceited about running down other people's ghosts, but just as ignorant and barbaric and superstitious about our own. Why does everybody believe in the law of gravity then? Mass hypnosis. It's a very orthodox form known as education. You mean the teacher is hypnotizing the kids into believing the law of gravity? And then I'll jump forward to a little more. And it says, but I'll repeat it for you. We believe in the disembodied words of Sir Isaac Newton. The problem, the contradiction the scientists are stuck with is that of the mind. Mind has no matter or energy, but they can't escape its predominance over everything they do. Logic exists in the mind. Numbers only exist in the mind. They're looking at me, so I continue. Laws of nature are human inventions, like ghosts. Laws of logic, mathematics, are also human inventions, just like ghosts. We see what we see because the ghost shows us. The ghosts of Moses and Christ and Buddha and Plato and Descartes, Rousseau, Jefferson and Lincoln, and on and on. Your common sense is nothing more than the voices of ghosts. Thousands and thousands of ghosts from the past. Ghosts trying to find a place amongst the living. And he goes on to talk about his son going to therapy and why he had a dilemma with it. So let me try to find this page for you here. And he's talking about his son and why he doesn't want to take him to therapy. And Sylvia asks why. And he says, I don't know. It's just that I know they're not kin. Surprising word. I think to myself, as I've never used it before, not of kin. Sounds like hillbilly talk. Not of a kind. It's the same root word. Kindness, too. They cannot have real kindness towards him. They're not his kin. That's exactly the feeling. Old word, so ancient it's almost drowned out. What a change through the centuries. Now anybody can be kind. And everybody's supposed to be, except that long ago it was something you were born into and couldn't help. Now it's just faked up attitude half the time, like teachers the first day of class. But what do they really know about kindness to who are not their kin? So, this idea of shamanism and therapy. You see, a therapist sits down and they're making money for a piece of time. They get a token, a biosurvival token, for the physical world, out of physical ideas that they're sitting there in a chair. There's no connection. There's no union of the spirit. There's no union of the heart. It's just a mind game. And these mind games, this magical psychological manipulation, which is a mind game, that is used by magicians and psychologists through the years to get people to do all sorts of things. We can look at what the U.S. is and look at where it came from. We can look at Freud. We can look at his cousin and what Edward Bernays. We can look into all of that. And we can see the influence they had on a culture as a whole. And now these people do it on an individual level. And there's no communion there. There's no heart. There's no kindness. There's no kinship. They have 40 minutes. They have an hour. That's what they have. They trade in biosurvival units for tokens. They get tokens for a little bit of time. So these tokens are nothing more than representative of the ghosts that they studied in school, of people that came before them that wrote books to make money, to have their ghosts survive. In the mind, not in the heart of anyone. The business, in the real world, there is no business. Animals don't do business. Shamans don't do business. They deal with life everlasting. They deal with the spiritual realm. They deal with what's above and what's below. They go in the places of the demons and they go in the places of the angels. and in between, and everywhere in between. Their worry is not about whether or not they can feed their family with the money that they'll receive. Their worry is not about this life. It's about literally your spirit and your soul and where you go and whether or not you can maintain memory, whether you can bring that with you so you don't forget this trip. Therapists don't have that. They can't have that. It's not part of their job title. It's not part of what they are. They have no relationship. They have no bonding. Their binding is only to the almighty dollar. And so we have to look at this from the sense of what kind of communion, what could they really offer? If somebody want to pay me $60 to sit down and listen to them, what a simple job. What a silly job, really. But it takes a lot more to be someone's friend. It takes a lot more to be there for someone. You can't call a therapist at midnight when you're having a bad time. You can't do that. You can't. The connection, and I'm not saying that every therapist is bad or evil or mean or incapable of offering something, because there's certainly something to be offered. It's just not holistic. It's just like any product that's being sold, whether it's a product or a service. If it's being sold, just like anything else, it becomes a registered, trademarked product of mind. And it encapsulates the mind to do things that are not in tune and aligned with the real world, the real word, the heart. They're concerned with what they think the mind is as a separate entity, away from the spirit, away from the body, away from the whole organic system that is human, that is nature, that is everything. So people that Alan Watts talks about, you have to figure it out in your own mind. That's all you'll ever have. And then the things that are bound to you, which are the air, fire, earth, and water, and your kin, your friends, the family that you've made. People come out of wombs all the time. That doesn't mean you're bonded or connected or family to these people. Anybody can identify with that. You find friends, you find family along the way. You can't buy family. You can't buy friendship. You can't buy these things. You can't buy mental health. You can't buy physical health. You can go buy a membership to a gym. That doesn't make you physically healthy. You can go buy all the food you want that has all the packaged vegan. It's not going to make you healthy. It's not going to help you to be healthy. It's the interaction with any of those things. It's if it has nut, if it has nutrition, if it has light, if it has a connection to the source, then you can bind with that. Then that will explore and expand a relationship. You can never fix a relationship with something by going away from it. That doesn't fix or heal anything. You can't fix your car by going down the street and talking to your neighbor about their broken car, or telling your neighbor that your car is broken. That doesn't fix the car. The car gets fixed when you work on the car. And so that relationship to the car, if there's a dilemma in there, then that needs to be fixed there. You walk away from that car, and you come back to that car 10 years later, and it's still broken. And that car is an analogy for a relationship with anything, with your body, your mind to your body, your self, your spirit to your environment, to your friends, to anyone. And so this is just to say that these ideas we have of what people offer us, we have to understand who they are. And we can get fooled by people's words because we've been fooled by people's words for years. We've listened to people sell us things that we didn't need, tell us that that here we need this product to cut the pineapple right. I mean, we need this to make sure we peel the eggs right. We need this for make sure our feet work right and put these in our shoes, and it's all sold by the one that is bought into the system. Just like the Kangen water. They've bought and believed in that. And just like a therapist, they've bought and believed in the books, the education that they bought from a collegiate source years ago. They have no bond. They walk away from you and you walk away from them. While that it can be healthy and there can be something there, I'm not taking that away, but it's not a holistic system. It can offer no true healing, no true health. All it can offer is a dominator submissive relationship. And it can be manipulation of the mind. Why do you think the person lies down and the other person sits? Lying down is a way to open yourself to become. This is what happens when you go to a hospital. There's always a slave and a master. And so this is why they write things down and keep it secret. There's nothing holistic about that. As if somehow people don't understand what's going on. Because they don't, because what's happening is they're becoming hypnotized. Hypnotized by, first they pay the money, so now they're bought into the system, and then they lay down and they become the almost a victim of hypnosis and control. And someone becomes a puppeteer and orchestrates and works on and pokes and prods around in someone's mind. Well, here's the real news. The only person that can be in your mind is you. And you know the solutions, and that mind that you operate can either be out of this life and concerned for what you see as a physical reality, or you can be concerned with your heart and your spirit and your soul. And that's what the shaman works on. But they work that through the physical reality, because that's the only way you can get into contact with the shaman. Until, of course, you can get out of body. Until, of course, you can work on yourself through your subconscious dream world and understand and recognize symbolism. And I go through all of this to say this is what I teach. This is what I show people. So that people can work on themselves, that they can make incisions on themselves. And once again, this doesn't damage or destroy, or this does not say to eliminate relationships. It's to expand them and to fix them. Just like the car. If you leave the car there, it will rot, it will rust, it will turn to dust. And then you will wake up and wonder where you've been. Because that's what happens if you don't learn how to take your thoughts, your ideas, your ego, collapse that all down, put it into a memory and as a residual piece of information, and pull that into the next existence that you have. So hopefully this was helpful to some of you people. This was specifically for a best friend of mine. And hopefully everyone gets something out of this. Cheers, everybody.